All right, so big discussions about Saturn and Jupiter coming together in Aquarius on December 21st. Um, and so, what could that possibly mean? That's the big question, isn't it? And so, if we take it in isolations, we think of this deeply more of a positive time, I guess, and probably in some cases, this is true. And so, what I think is important, though, is that we look back to the last year because, of course, the way the horoscope works is that Aries is the first sign, and that's the initiation phase of any new movement or um, the creation of a vision, so to speak. And so when we're coming, and so of course Capricorn, as many people know, is the sign of is ruled by Saturn, and so Saturn to me is the most important figure in this whole spectrum. Although we have to then consider also that Pluto is in Capricorn as well, which is that of a primitive force, or what I would say is the animal Scorpio. The Scorpio, it's this, or pardon me, the scorpion itself likes to crawl under rocks, and so it likes to stay and hide in places, in dark places, and so, and it also has a very poignant sting. And so, of course, that looks a lot like last year with we consider the virus that has been unleashed on society, and also the narrative of Saturn or the governmental bodies, because of course Saturn rules the government, and so so it's actually Pluto that is a slave to Saturn, and so what we can do with this, just this influence alone, is we can question everything that's happened in the last year and really question it from the point of view of whether what we're being told is actually true. And I think that is becoming very clear that what we are being told and how this virus is being used and the narratives that are being used to suppress, of course, Saturn is suppression, and to hold down society and and really to hold captive society, because of course we are told to stay in our houses, and we're also told the lie that we can actually do anything about the virus to begin with, because of course it's a flu, and even if it's been designed to be more aggressive, which, and I did say that, designed to be more aggressive, which I think there's a lot of evidence that it was actually created and designed. We blame China for that, but actually, it's possible that it was actually designed in the United States and shipped off to China when the United States made it illegal to create more infectious viruses, which have no purpose other than to do exactly what they're doing right now. And so, but then again, this is Pluto and Capricorn, because the truth will be exposed. The truth is coming to the surface, and the great truth of the elite status or the elite families of the world is coming to the surface now. And so we're starting to see a deeper level of government, aren't we? We're starting to see that there's a ruling class of people that have been controlling the narrative of all these things. Bill Gates is deeply involved in a vaccine, which seems very suspect, and then now is promoting the vaccine, which of course the base of all Saturn issues is resources and or the material plane. So this is about um, benefit of the ruling class, and that's, we can look at everything in the last year and see how it all played to a deeper truth, which is there's a elite class of people in society that are controlling the narrative of everything that's happening, and they are also defying national borders with their objectives. And so they've been using group identity and as warfare against the people, and it's really challenging for common people to fight against things that they see as good, which of course they all come in disguise. Of course, ethnicity and race, we all want equality. We want our women to succeed. We want our men to succeed. We want Black people to have their voice. We want all these things. We want equality for humans. We want people who have sexually been misidentified or shamed. Um, we want them to be healed, and we want them to be valid. We want them to be these things, but yet all these organizations coming forward, it seems we have to go deeper and find out who's funding them. And there's a lot of evidence that these movements are being funded to disrupt society. And so that's the part that really disturbs me. And that's Pluto and Capricorn, is the disturbance of the world through a hidden agenda. And of course, now that we're coming into Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius, which we have to remember, Saturn has been the previous ruler over Pluto in its other sign. What we now can see is that rather than having for me, a more positive outlook of what this conjunction could mean, I actually think it's now that Saturn is moving into Aquarius, the governing, the elite class of the world is now going to, of course, they're being exposed, or they are exposing themselves, let's say, and what they want us to know about what their agenda is. Of course, you will own nothing and you will be happy is the actual motto of the World Economic Forum. So they're actually now, what I see happening with Saturn in Aquarius is they're now going to try to condition our minds to accept the new type of governing structure that they want to outlay for us, and they want us to buy in, because of course there is a lot of, if you look at the United Nations SDGs, which are pardon me, I can't remember what the term means, but it's basically 17 mottos of how they're going to rule the world. And of course, they look amazing. They look great. Women and children, global, the climate and all this stuff. But the thing we have to question in all this, and so when they outlay this, and at the end of the year, there's going to, Jupiter's going to bring air to their agenda of moving it into society and into our minds, that this is what's going to happen. And, when we also, of course, when we look at the signs, we have to look at the opposing sign. So we have the opposing sign of Leo, which is the right for individual self-expression. And so what I imagine will happen, rather than this great big savior coming and the world peace and all this thing, these things that are happening, is that the heavy-handed nature of Saturn in Aquarius, of suppressing individual identities, there's going to be an outbreak of people that feel that they need to now take to the streets and object to the things that they don't personally identify with. And for me, being a Mars in Leo, of course, I object to people telling me how I'm going to live my life. And I think anyone with a little bit of individualism and the desire to be an individual will likely start speaking up, and they'll also be answering this oppressive collective thought process and governance, and start questioning, if it's so good for me, why did you have to keep it hidden? And why is it that people of incredible wealth get to have a say on how middle class and poor people get to live? And so if it's so incredibly good for us, why has it had to remain hidden from society? And so the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, to me, is a continuation of the narrative that we've had in the last year, which is a virus, misinformation, suspect agendas from a governmental point of view, because remember, Saturn is the government, represents the reality as it is, and the desire to bring structure and order to life. And we are being told what that looks like. Our freedoms are being taken away from us. And we are also, and the interesting thing is, we're also now told that we should police each other, which is also part of the insidious belief system that is coming forward. Because if we can actually police each other, then basically all of us are stuck. We're just going to be frozen. And so my thinking, of course, my agenda in this all is to talk about probably a more real world expression of these planets, and also that to encourage people to rise up and realize what is happening in the world. It doesn't necessarily serve their best interests, um, because they lied to us to get there. And that, to me, is the most important thing in this whole thing, related to Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. The things that are trying to be outlaid for us for our good are likely not for our good, and we should object and take to the streets. And I hope this is a little bit of information, and please subscribe, and look forward to chatting with you soon.